I cannot believe that players are still making these 11 mistakes in Rise of Kingdoms. In this video, we are going to level up your gameplay, and even if we just teach you one new thing, that will be worth it. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video we're covering 11 mistakes that we still need to be talking about in 2021 because they will wreck you and your alliance. But before we begin, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, that is Infinite Galaxy. Let me give you a quick look at this game. In Infinite Galaxy, you explore the vastness of space to claim territory, battle fierce foes, and yes, take down other players. In this game, you'll be building a collection of flagships. You'll use those to wage war with your collection of war ships, whether it's the sprightly frigate, the mid-sized destroyer, or the massive cruisers. Your fleet will go head-to-head against opponents in space combat and in the campaign. But it wouldn't be much of a fleet without its crew. Your crew will help define and customize the way that your team works together as you build out the most amazing space station the galaxy has ever seen, building up and constructing things from your headquarters to your military center to make sure you're ready for the next encounter. Along the way, you'll do a ton of research, advancing your space station's capabilities in both situations against players and in situations that help you build up and get stronger. What happens next in this game? Well, my friends, it's entirely up to you. I'm about 4 months into my experience with Infinite Galaxy and still really enjoying it. I assume there'll be migration in this game at some point, but you could always start in Nebula 13, which is the nebula that I'm in, or if you want, start in a new nebula, and eventually if they do have migration, you could come and join us. If you want to play this game, use the link in the description to download. Also, it'll be in a pinned comment. Again, I'm really loving this, and if you want, you can join the Smash Squad in Nebula 13. Mistake number 1 is when you are in Kingdom versus Kingdom, and this gets so many people zeroed. It is very simply not being on your Alliance territory. I'm in the Alliance SIP. I am on a SIP flag. That means I'm on Alliance territory. But in KVK Season 1 through 3, after you rebuild your ruined Crusader Fortress, which I can show you, it's right over here. After you've rebuilt this thing, you have the ability to teleport onto your kingdom's territory, or in the case of the Season of Conquest, your coalition's territory. But only on your own alliance's territory can you be protected from being rallied. You cannot be rallied. So if I were to teleport onto, say, another alliance within my own kingdom's territory, let's say I would go to Havoc's territory right over here, HVK. I can teleport onto this territory. I could do that. It'll let me. I can go here, okay? But I could get rallied. I could get zeroed. You don't want to be on this territory. If you're going to go to this territory, if you have to for some reason, switch your alliance so that you're in that alliance, then teleport to that territory. Be very, very careful. I cannot tell you how many people get zeroed this way. It is my #1 piece of guidance to players that are going into KVK for the first time, and honestly, going back to KVK again, the second, third, fourth, fifth time, it doesn't matter. People get this wrong every single KVK. Don't do this. Now, for those players who find themselves in this situation where they're off territory, they might be rallied, and they try to teleport away after the rally has already started hitting their city. Guess what? You can no longer teleport if a rally has hit your city. Oh yeah, folks. People get this wrong all the time, okay? All the time. Once a rally is connected with your city, it's game over. You have to take the rally until the rally ends. But there is a trick you can use. One thing you could do, depending on what season of KVK you're in, is if you're on coalition territory, but not alliance territory, you could send your troops into a nearby flag. That will make it so that the rally will end a lot sooner. Your hospital might not even overflow because you ran all your troops into a nearby flag, and if you use a 50% expansion, you're taking like 1.5 million troops or so out of your city into a flag, and then they're safe. Another tactic you could use, by the way, is to march all of your troops out of your city. and put them literally right next to your city, like right over here, okay? So they're rallying you, and the rally's doing work. You put your troops right over here. You're taking, again, somewhere between 1 to 1.5 million troops out of your city, maybe even more, depending on if you're using a 50% expansion, which you should in this instance, at least a 25% expansion. Depending on your Season of Conquest technology, you might have more. Move your troops out of your city. The rally will finish on your city, and then move your troops back into your city. That is quite the hack, and if you didn't see my video where we talked about how to save yourself if you get imprisoned, you're probably going to want to watch that card up in the top. By the way, if you've learned something new so far in this video or you're getting value, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. Now, the thing that can help you if you are getting rallied in this situation, and this is mistake number 3, is that people don't upgrade their lower tiers of troops sometimes. It's very strange. They hang on to like tons of tier 1, 2, 3 troops. Oh, no. You should have nearly 0 T1, 2, or 3 troops, with the exception maybe of some T1 siege, with the exception of maybe some T1 cavalry. All of your T2, T3, it should be upgraded to your highest tier. And, you might want some amount of T4 available for the lower resource cost when you're battling in KVK. But for all of my accounts that are in the Season of Conquest, I'm just using all T5 at this point. Okay, I'm just going to use all T5, and I got a farm, I got a main that's farming. That's going to give me more than enough resources to kind of do what I need to do, even though I do a lot of fighting. The problem, again, with having these lower tiers of troops is that they're going to hit your hospital at a rate that's roughly equal to the proportion of those troops you have. In other words, if half your troops were T3, T2, and T1, then half your hospital is going to be T3, T2, and T1 if your city were to get hit. So in a best case scenario, you're online and you're getting rallied and you're healing between rallies hitting your city, and you're not healing as much as you would have because you've got all these lower tiers of troops taking up space in your hospital. In a worst case, you get fully zeroed, you come online, and some of your remaining troops are T1, 2, and 3. Gross. You don't want that. You really don't want that. Upgrade your tier of troops to higher tiers. It's the right play. And I actually have a detailed video all about why you should do that and how you can score more points in events by doing that. I'll have a card up in the top. Now, the next mistake that players make, this is mistake number 4, and I am guilty of this if I look right now. This is my restart project. I go to the expedition, and I probably have not completed every single mission to the highest star level. Maybe actually I finally went back and did it. But a lot of players have not actually finished expedition to the highest star level, even on their farms, to get kind of as far as they can is a good idea. And the reason is that now you should be buying your Ethelflaed sculptures every single day after you're, able to get pretty far in the expedition here, because you can use those to get individual credits. It's really quite fantastic. Who knows what they're going to do with the metal store, but you certainly want to get all of the metal currency possible, and the sooner you push here, the easier it'll be. And you can even use all the troops that have died in this game mode. So what are you waiting for? Mistake number 5 is something that people are very dubious. When I say this, people are like, Chisgule, you're not serious about that, are you? I'm like, of course I'm serious. Why do you think I said it? And that is spending gems in the Courier Station. Why would you do that? Gems in the Courier Station is a terrible idea. They show the percent off unless you're looking at a 50% army expansion. That's like 70% off. Or you're looking at speedups that are 80% discounted. There's really nothing you should be buying in the Courier Station. No kidding. Nothing. Why am I saying that? Your gems are way better spent in a gem event where there are rewards you're getting that are either as good or better. Plus, there are also tiered rewards in those events as well. Wheel of Fortune, and now we've got Hunt for History and all these other things. Or the Holy Knight's Treasure. Spend your gems in those events, not in the Courier Station. The Courier Station is not a good place to spend gems. You've got to be a super whale to even consider that. Now, mistake number 6 is also related to events. Every now and then, an event will come around that gives you some gold keys, and I think it's here it is, Warpath. Now that I'm in the Season of Conquest KVK, it's giving me the Sovereign keys, which is way better, actually. That I'm much more interested in these. The mistake is speeding up your siege units. Oof. You really don't want to be in the business of speeding up siege units. There are a lot of resources to make, and they're generally not as effective to deploy in KVK. Yes, you can find some special situations where you're able to use a siege garrison, but it's uncommon that you'll want to be using siege. It's not the premium unit. You don't want to have tons of these. And the reality is that unless you're online when your siege units are getting sent to their doom from your kingdom in a special siege garrison, you're going to end up with a lot of them just kind of taking up space in your city. And I don't know, I guess they make you able to defend your city somewhat. I guess you could use them to, take resources from another city, but you really don't want to be speeding up siege units unless you absolutely have to. And for events like the one that I was just showing you, you could go and train tier 2 or 3 units and also upgrade those units during this event, by the way, in order to get completion for this event without accumulating tons of those lower tiers of troops. Mistake number 7 has to do with building out your city, and people really ask me this in stream. They say, Chisgule, I'm building my watchtower. Shouldn't I be gemming the arrows of resistance? No. Do not gem arrows of resistance. There are so many events that will give you arrows of resistance, like, say, building your ruined Crusader fort, or let's look at these supply boxes. How many arrows of resistance am I going to get? 123. I know that 123 is not a ton, but there are events, particularly Lohar's Trial is a really good one to get a ton of arrows of resistance. Arrows of resistance you need to get free to play. If you're going to gem anything, it's the Books of the Covenant you should be gemming to work on your castle. Save yourself the gems. Holy moly. Gem the Books of the Covenant for the castle. Do not gem arrows of resistance. And speaking of mistakes that make me sad, mistake number 8. Oh, man. So you're looking at all these Shio's returns you've gotten over some number of KVKs. You're looking at all these Eternal Knights you might have accumulated because they're in the Lost Canyon shop. And you think, I'm going to try to make the special talent on this. Now, some number of players really are trying to do that at this point because they're mega spenders. They're whales. And the reason that I say you have to be a mega spender or a whale to be dismantling a legendary to try to reforge it is that when you go to dismantle legendary gear, you lose half the materials. You can see here, I'm only going to get back 20 materials. It costs 40 materials to make it. For legendary equipment, you lose half the materials. I cannot tell you how many people get wrecked and they don't even know they're getting wrecked, losing half their materials because they don't read. I think there's a pop-up. I'm not even tapping the button. I'm not even going to show you the pop-up because, hell no, I do not want to even risk losing half my legendary materials. 20 legendary materials is extremely expensive. It's a lot of time or it's a lot of money. Do not dismantle your legendary equipment unless you really know what you're doing and recognize that, yep, I'm not going to get back half the materials. Oof, careful, folks. Now, these next couple mistakes don't just cost you. They cost your kingdom, and they are savage. That is when people reinforce rallies and garrisons from far away. It drives me absolutely insane. If I were to reinforce this flag from right over here, let's just send, it doesn't even matter what I'm sending. You can see that I am taking up 254,000 of the reinforcement capacity, but nothing is there yet. In fact, I am 2 minutes away. If you want to kill your kingdom's defense, do this. This is awful for a kingdom's defense. People do this all the time. They reinforce a structure from far away. They reinforce a rally from far away. If you want your kingdom to lose, this is what you'll do. And this is so bad that the people who have you in their alliance, they have to kick you out of the alliance if you're reinforcing a rally. So it removes you from that rally capacity. It's just so savage. It's so savage for the rally and the garrison. To give a little bit of perspective, okay? There are skills on commanders that are really important, really game-changing. A commander like Mehmet lets you bring 10% more troop capacity to a rally. Wow. In Season of Conquest KVK, flags have 2 million troop capacity. 10% more capacity is 200,000 troops. That's such a huge benefit for the rally to be able to rally it again with, 2 million capacity for them and you have 2.2 million, wow, it's really a big deal. But if you reinforce from far away, that's like taking your garrison's capacity down by some number of troops. So if I'm saying, wow, it's amazing to have 2.2 million against a 2 million structure, heck, look no further than the forts now in KVK. Because of this technology in the Season of Conquest, a fort is going to have a capacity of 3 million, but your earliest rallies against forts are like 2.3 million or so. It's so backbreaking to try to actually burn a fort. It's insane until you have more of this technology. So what I'm saying is you're giving yourself a disadvantage just like that if you reinforce the rally or garrison from far away, because now you're, instead of having like a 10%, positive ratio of the amount of troops you could have, if you reinforce the garrison from far away, now there could only be 1.75 million troops in it at a time until you get there. I know I'm talking about this a lot, but I don't think people understand just how much they are wrecking their own kingdoms by doing this. You should be 5 or 10 seconds away at most to reinforce a rally or a garrison. Truly, any further than that, and you are wrecking your kingdom. Now, on the topic of wrecking your kingdom, mistake number 10, reinforcing with the wrong troop type. Oh my gosh, this still happens. When you launch a rally, you can set what kind of troop you want people to bring. Usually people will set what type of troop they want, so you should just pay attention to whatever markers they have selected and send only that troop type. I know this sounds simple, but you're better off not reinforcing rallies at all if you don't know what you're doing than trying to reinforce the rally and being unsure of what troop type is needed. If you don't know what troop type is needed, don't reinforce it. It should be really easy to figure out what troop type is needed by either looking at what troops are in the rally physically, but on the map, what troop type do you see, or just look and see what other people have reinforced with. When you go into the rally screen here, you can expand the menu and see what types of troops are there. You can tap on the troops themselves. It'll tell you what type of troop it is. You should check and make sure you know what type of troop is needed for the rally or garrison before you go and send stuff. And if it's wrong, some skills just completely deactivate on commanders and talents deactivate if you have the wrong troop. It's really bad. It's really bad. The final mistake that people still make, this is number 11. And look, some amount of this is unavoidable. You're fighting around a flag and you get hit by the AoE of a garrison like Esong. But you will be shocked at how many people stand in area of effect damage. Even when the legendary Tickle Fist was getting rallied, there were players, standing in the AoE, and his city is 300 million power plus at the time he was getting rallied. So 2 rounds of AoE, and he made players lose millions of power worth of troops because they were just standing in the AoE. Oof. You really need to avoid that. Now, there are a few honorable mentions here, things that didn't quite make the list that I just want to run through really quickly. One of them is leveling up your commanders really fast. I can't believe people still do this. You end up with a 1-1-1 commander. Skill lock, thankfully, helps you out a little bit with this now, where you can go back and you can lock some skills and level up the ones that you actually wanted to level up. Thank goodness. 1-1-1 commanders, just drives me totally insane. Also, using universal legendary commander sculptures on gold key commanders is a pretty raw deal. Every time you go in and open a gold key, if you've maxed out the commander, all of those commander sculptures you get when you get them again, like let's say I've maxed Charles Martel and I get more of his sculptures from a gold key, that's really bad news because those sculptures are basically worthless. I think the only commander I would even consider from those gold keys that you might want to use some universals on and expertise early is in fact Charles Martel. And when you're only like 200 or so sculptures away, if you're a whale, maybe you would do that a little sooner, 300 or 400 sculptures away. You could go in and max that commander, but otherwise you were going to accumulate a ton of sculptures for commanders that you really need extra Julius Caesar sculptures. You really need extra Freddy sculptures. These are commanders that most players probably shouldn't even be maxing anyways. And definitely don't use universal legendary commander sculptures on your gathering commanders. Oh god, I can't even. The final honorable mention mistake that I'm just going to call out that people are still making is opening your resource tokens before you actually need the resources. Just don't. Just don't do it. Okay? If you're in KVK and you want to quickly heal your hospital, maybe you have 100 million or 200 million of each open and you open those in advance. But otherwise, open resources are just a liability. You can't take them with you when you migrate. You're going to lose all those resources anyways. And maybe you'll fight and use them all. But if somehow something goes sideways and you get zeroed with the resources, that just sucks. If you learned something new in this video, then do me a favor and throw a like on here and consider subscribing for Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. And if you want to see more about the topics we shared in this video, there were a ton of other videos we've done that cover that stuff in depth. Check out the info card up in the top for links to those videos. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.